Steel structure is one of the most challenging and honestly sometimes annoying parts to model, but also incredibly rewarding. In this video, we will explore how to model a base plate using only the connection tool without any manual adjustment. And along the way, we will discover many hidden options and parameters of this tool. So let's begin by creating the column and placing it in here. I don't want to see these web fillets in here, so I'm going to select this column, and from its edit type, in this part we should have a parameter for it, web fillet. I'm going to put it on 0 and OK. Now let's go to 3D view, and in here I'm going to hide these levels, and then this is our column. I'm going to also turn off the thin line so we can see it clearly. And now if I select the column and in the steel tab, I'm going to click on this connection. So we have this icon in here. If I put this on wireframe, you can see it better. Now if I select it, in the properties section, you can see this generic connection, and if you open it, if you have any connection in this part, you can select between those connections. If you don't have, you need to bring and load them to this part before. So for that, you need to click on this little arrow in here. I need to search for this each time I start a new project. So you just need to click on it, and then you will have a new window with all of the connection that you might need for any type of element that you want to connect them together. For example, in this connection group, you can filter the type of connections that you have in here. For example, you can put it on beam end to end, you can put it on column beam or platform beams, any type of connection that you want. And then based on what you have selected in here, you can see the connections in this part. Since we are going to work on a base plate, we are going to just load the base plate connections, which mean these 4 options that we have in here. I'm going to just use this one, and I'm going to add it to here, but you can add the rest of them too. Now if I click on OK, and if I select this again, and in here I can see this base plate in this part. If you want to add a connection to some other parts, for example between a beam and a column, the options that you will have in this properties section is going to be different. So right now we are going to just select this base plate, and we just need to wait for it to load. Okay, it is done, but we cannot see it. This is because you need to change the detail level and put it on fine. If you can't see it again, you need to go to visibility and graphic, and from this model category, in this part you need to scroll down and find the structural connection and just make sure that it is checked. Okay, this is very important. And then we can go back and work on this. Now before we go to modification tab, I want to change the color of this column and also this base plate so we can see it better. I'm going to select a column, and then from this part you can either change the whole material or you can use a simple graphic override. I'm going to use this override because it is much faster. I'm going to assign a color like this and also change the pattern, and okay. And then for base plate, you can select it by pressing tab. Since this override graphic is not active, we just need to change the material itself. So I'm going to go to the material browser, and in this part I'm going to create a new material. Let's change its name to base plate, and then I'm going to just change its color to this one. Okay, and okay. Now the next part is to see how we can turn this default base plate into exactly what we need. For that, I'm going to select it, and from this edit type, we're going to go to this modify parameters. And in here, we will have lots of options and tools to control this part. So as you can see, there are so many options in here, but we don't need all of them to create what we need. So I'm going to just mention about the parts that we need to create exactly the sample that I show you first. So if you want to learn all of these things, if you want to learn all of these options, let me know in the comment section, and if I see enough requirement, I'm going to create a video for that and cover everything that we have in here. Now, we're going to start with base plate layout. So I'm going to zoom in this part, and I'm not sure why the color is not working in here, but we're going to continue like this. The first option in here is the plate thickness. It is the thickness of this plate, this first and main base plate that we are going to have in here. We are going to have like different layers we can have, but this part, this base thickness, is for the main part. I'm going to turn it into 4, and it is going to be like that. Also, it has like different layouts, so by default it is set on projection, but you can put it on from center or value, and you can like change it as you want. I'm going to go back to projection. Then we have this column shortening. You can set it on plate thickness, so you can change any value in this part, or you can put it on value and then assign any number you want in here. I'm going to put it on 5, or you can put it on -5 and create exactly the shortening you need. Let me put it back on plate thickness, and then you can also change the placement of this part, so you can put it on top. If I just check this, you can see that it is on top in here. I'm going to uncheck these two, and then we are going to go to the next parameter, which is base plate dimension. So in here, as you can see with these numbers in this part, you can control the size of your base plate. Let's go to this top view, and in here I am in the right direction. Okay, the shape of this base plate is exactly like this. So if I change the number 1, which is this one, and right now it is set on 8, and the number of all of these parts, all of 4 sides of this base plate, these offset parts are exactly equal to 8. If I change it to, let's go with 10, it will affect all of these parts. But if I uncheck it, I can control each part separately. So now you can see that this part is 8 because number 1 is for here. You see the offset in the right side. If I want to change it from the other side, if I want to change the left side, I can change number 2, and for example I can put it on 20 centimeter. It will be like this. Okay, you can either do it like this if you need. Sometimes you might need to change the size of your base plate like this, or you can put it back. You can make all of the parts equal and just assign one number to all of it. This is the only part that you can control the size of your base plate. Okay, now the next part is the plate corners. You can see these sharp corners in here. You can change the shape of these corners, and if you open this part, you can see we have 3 shapes. We have fillet, cut, and convex. So you can see how they look in this part. I'm going to change each one of them to one shape, and you can see that this is the fillet. So if I uncheck it, you can control the length and also the width separately, or let me put this one in fillet, and if you like use it like this, it will be a square like this. I'm going to change it to 5, and both sides are going to be equal. Then we have this cut, which cuts the corners like this. You can see in this part too. Again, you can control each part separately if you uncheck this part, or you can use it like this. I am going to make it a little bit bigger to, for example, 5, because this number 2 also have these round corners, which you can put it on drill or round. You can see the shape in this part. I'm going to put it on drill, and if I change this corner size to, for example, 2, you can have a shape like this. Or you can put it on round, and it will fillet the corner exactly like this. Also, we have another option, which is this convex. You can also control the roundness of this part too. There is no option for controlling them separately, because of course it's just a radius, and you can just simply control it from this part. I'm going to change all of these corner shapes to fillet, and also I need each part, the length and width, to be equal. So I'm going to check all of these equal, and I'm going to set one number for all of these parts. After this, we are going to go to the next parameter, which is anchor and holes. So in this part, you need to change the type or shape of the anchor and holes. So I'm going to go to 3D view to this part so we can see it better. First of all, you need to select a type for this anchor. If you open this part, you can see so many different shapes that you can select between them. I'm going to put it on this one, and then from this part you can change the diameter of these anchors. There are a few options in this part, and I'm going to put it on 20. After that, we have the grade, which is going to be changed according to the type, and then we have this anchor assembly. If you look at this anchor from the bottom view, you can see that there is nothing in this part and we can just see the hole. But if we switch to this one, we will have a bolt in here, and also we can use the other one, which will give us 3 parts in here. Then we have this anchor length, which you can set the length of the anchor like this. There are again some options in this part, you can select between them, and depending on the size of your foundation you can change this number. This setting was all about the anchor in this part. Also, we have settings for the holes too. I'm going to change this to NAW, and if we again look at it from here, you can see the hole in this part. Right now it is on variable. If you put it on automatic, it will be exactly the size of your anchor. Or you can put it on variable and you can change this size. For example, I'm going to put it on 0, and which is exactly the same with automatic, or you can put any number that you want in here. And you can also just use holes without any anchor. So for that, you just need to check this, and then it will give you just holes like this. So if you want, you can control the size of these holes too. I'm going to put it on, for example, 5 centimeter, and this is the only part that you can control the size of these holes. You don't need to go to this part for controlling them. If you want to change the size of the holes, you need to be in this part, anchor and holes, in base plate section. You can go to the next part, which is washer plates. So with this option, you can create a plates with the size that you want under these parts. I'm going to click on this part so we can see them in here, and then you can change their thickness and you can put them on any number you want from here. I'm going to put it on 1 centimeter, and also you can change the size. You can change them separately, and the lengths and widths, and you just have one option for them. 6 centimeter is good, so I'm going to keep it on this number. Then we have this hole tolerance, which we used in this part. You can control the hole of this washer plate and separate from the hole of the base plate. You can like put it on variable and you can change the value in this part. Also, you can just check this option and change the placement of the washer. If you change the anchor and holes, I'm going to change it to this one, and you can see how it looks. So depending on what you need, you can change the placement of these washers too. Now the next part is about the placement and the number of the anchors. So we have this anchor parallel to web, and then we have the anchor parallel to flange. Let's go to top view to see the anchors better. So the number of these anchors is set on 2. Let's change it to 6, and it will give us more anchors like this. Then we have the intermediate distance, the distance between these anchors. Okay, I'm going to, for example, put it on 30 centimeter, and it will be like this. Of course, they are outside the base plate, so you just need to like change the distance or change the number and set it according to your base plate. The next option is the offset from center. If you want to move them away from the center, you can use this number. For example, I'm going to put it on 20, and you can see where they are going, or minus 20 centimeter like this. Let's go back to 0. And then if you want to remove center bolts, I'm going to show you where we add this parallel flange too, so we are going to go back to that. But about this grouping, if you put it on, for example, left side, and you assign a number to this part, for example, let's go with 3, it will add 3 groups of this anchor to the left side, or you can change it to right side, or you can put it on both, and you will have another group of these anchors in here. Then it will give you 2 options to control the distance between these main anchors and the second group. So the first option, the distance, is going to be the distance between the last anchor, the last main anchor, and the group. Okay, this one. I'm going to put it on, for example, 20 centimeter. This is the last one, and this is the second group, which has 3 rows of anchors, right? Then we have this intermediate distance, which controls the distance between this second group, and I'm going to put it on 12 centimeter like this. You can also do it for the right side or for the both sides. So you will have these groups on 2 sides of this parallel web. We don't need this grouping, so I'm going to put it on none, and then we can go to anchor parallel flange. So in this part, again, you can control the number of these anchors. Let's put it on 6 again and see all of them in this part. The intermediate distance, the offset from center, is exactly the same, and again, you can create groups for the anchors parallel flange too. But the option that we had in here, remove center bolts, is used when we have a situation like this. And usually we don't have these parts in here, these anchors in this part. So if you just check it, it will give you something like this, which you can control the distance between them, and you can set them exactly on these base plate. Now, based on the sample, we are going to go back to number 2 for here, and we don't need this option in here anymore. Again, for the other side, I'm going to go back to 2, but we are going to change the distance between them. So intermediate distance, let's put it on, for example, 40, and also we need to do the same for the other part too, 44 here. Again, let's look at it from the 3D view, and they are exactly where they need to be. Perfect. We're going to skip these welds and go to stiffeners and plates. In this part, we have first the leveling plate. Leveling plate, as you can see, is the plate under the main base plate, and if you check it, you will have another layer in this part. Exactly like we control the size of the base plate, you can either make all of the parts equal and assign just one number to here, for example 5 centimeter, and create equal distances around your base plate like this, or you can uncheck it, and based on the sizes of your base plate, you can change all of these parts. Exactly, you can see in here, you can change and control all of them. I'm going to check this equal. And the next part is about the hole setting. Exactly like we had holes for the base plate, we have holes for this leveling plate too. So right now it is set on base plate, so it is going to follow the size or the setting of the holes that is in base plate. But again, you can change it and you can assign any number you want for this part. You can see that this is the hole of the base plate and this is the hole of the leveling section. I am going to go back to base plate, and if we go to one of these views, you can see how this gap works. So if you want to create a gap between the leveling plate and the base plate, you can assign a number for this part, for example 5 centimeter. I mean 5 centimeter, not 50. Okay, and it will be something like this. According to your structure, you might need to do things like this too. Let's go back to 0. Let's skip these parts and go directly to this web stiffener, which is very important part. As you can see, this place, the placement and also the shape, we are going to create one of these in here. So first you can check it for one side, other side, or both sides. I'm going to put it on both sides like this, and then you can select the location. So you can either place it exactly on the web, this part, or you can set it on at corner, so you will have like 2 of them in each corner. So it means that you're going to have like 4 web stiffener. Okay, I am going to put it in the web at web, and now we can control all of the thickness, width and length for it. 1 centimeter is good for its thickness, but for the stiffener width I'm going to put it on 6 centimeter. So you can change it from this part. You can also change its height like this. After that, we have this corner finish inside, which is this part. You can put it on a straight, convex like this, or the concave. Okay, so it will give you shapes like this. From this part you can control all of those things. You can control them separately. For example, if it is on a straight, you can't control the width and height separately. You just have one option in this part like this, but you have 2 options for controlling the outside part to control this part. So we have this outside chamfer height and also outside chamfer width. So I'm going to put this on 4 and the other side on 3, for example, and it will give you a straight cut like this. After this part, we have this flange stiffener, which are going to be the same, kind of the same, but their placement are different. So I'm going to set them on both sides, and you see that they are exactly on all of these corners like this. So exactly like the web stiffener, you can control their thickness, width, height, and also the corner for the inside part and also for the outside section. I'm going to like just change these size. Okay, and now you can see that all of these parts are exactly the same. Then we have this outside stiffener, which will give you a shape like this in all of these parts, which I don't want to use it for here because it's not what we need. And then we have this middle stiffener, so it is going to be exactly in the middle of this part in the web. I'm going to change it on both sides, so we have one in here and the other one in this part. You can also have like in one side, so you can set it on something like this. I'm going to put it on both sides, and as you can see, you can like control the quantity, the number of these parts. For example, you can put it on 3 and you will have like 3 plates in this part. So you can again control all of the settings for these parts too. I'm going to go back to, let's go with 1. So this is the exact shape of base plate that we need, and it is like 100% accurate. You see that you can control all of these parts. We don't need anything in this whole section, and we are done in here. I'm going to click on OK and OK again. As you saw, this is the exact shape of base plate that we needed, and we modeled it easily like this. But sometimes this might happen for me before. Sometimes if you have a unique form of column, if you have created the family of your column, this connection might not work on that. Okay, in those cases you can create all of these parts, all of these plates and anchors manually. So you need to go to steel and use these options in here and create exactly the shape you want. And if you want to learn how you can do it, you can watch this video where I explained lots of details and tips about how to create a base plate manually. Thank you for watching until now. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I will see you soon.